Well, it's always a pleasure to have America's governor with us, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Welcome. Now, Ron DeSantis, you're a big golfer, too. You're a big athlete. You must be thrilled about what's happening this weekend, the Masters, no?
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. It's a fantastic tournament. Of all the sporting events I've been to in my life, and I've been fortunate, we hosted 2 Super Bowls since I've been governor. I was at the national championship basketball game with the University of Florida in San Antonio to watch that on Monday. I've been to the College World Series, all these things. But I'd say the Masters is probably the best sporting event I've ever attended. It's just a unique venue, a unique competition, and yeah, I'm looking forward to doing it, to watching.
Have you ever played that course?
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to be able to do it. And,
it's really hard, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's there's only 2 sets of tees, Masters tees, where these guys are playing from, which is like a long way, and then members tees, which is a little bit more generous, about 6,400 yards. And so, for me, I usually play tees further back than that, so I'll hit some pretty big drives. But, man, you get in there and approach to these greens, and it is just lethal. I mean, they're lightning fast. They've got amazing contours, so you got to have that short game if you want to do. And I've had times where I've driven the ball really well and then just not scored as well. So it's a great test for these guys from that distance and those greens. And one thing I can say, Mark, the champion will likely live somewhere in the Jupiter, Florida area, because that's where probably like 3/4 of the top golfers are living nowadays. Between Dallas, Texas, where you've got Scheffler and Bryson, and then Jupiter, where you got almost everybody else. Maybe throw in Ponte Vedra Beach, where the PGA Tour's based. But I mean, it is like down where you are. That is like professional golfers' paradise.
And everybody's driving golf carts all over the damn place. Drives me nuts when I'm in my car. Just saying.
You should go next time your next book comes out. Go to the Villages retirement community. You've probably been there before.
No,
everybody owns a golf cart there, and so you've got tens of thousands of mostly very conservative Republican voters. They will love you and turn out for you big, and they get around. The default is your golf cart, not your normal car.
Let me ask you something. As a resident of Florida, I'm watching things that take place in Tallahassee, which is the capital of Florida. And what is going on with the legislature there? I mean, I feel like they're moving further and further left, moving further and further away from a solid agenda and so forth. Am I missing something?
Well, it's interesting. I think that the Florida Senate is working constructively with our administration, and I think they want to continue the success of the Florida model that's been the envy of the world. For whatever reason, the Florida House of Representatives has just gone on a very liberal tangent. We've really led the way in getting woke out of public universities, saying we're not going to have indoctrination, it's going to be education. We've eliminated DE&I. We did all that stuff, and it's an ongoing fight, Mark. I mean, we still have a lot of work to do, but we're very proud of those efforts. The Florida House of Representatives is trying to push a bill to reverse what we did to de-wokify the universities. They want to make our universities woke again. And I'm just thinking to myself, who the hell ran on that? None of these guys would have gotten elected had they done that. They're also, remember, I was on with you in January, the Florida House of Representatives was really the leadership there. They opposed my proposal to mandate that all state and local law enforcement cooperate with ICE for deportations and immigration enforcement. Now, there was huge blowback to them for that, so they eventually were willing to produce a bill, and we're now leading the country in that. They actually, in the Florida House of Representatives, joined with Democrats to overturn spending reductions that I put in the budget last June. We only have a couple months left in the fiscal year, and they're joining with Democrats to spend more money on pork projects. And you just think to yourself, what the hell's going on? But one of the influences, I think, that has been very, very nefarious is the influence of the liberal trial lawyer, the plaintiff's bar. Democrats, very liberal, but for whatever reason, the House of Representatives in Florida, they're running all these bills to enrich trial lawyers and to undo tort reform that has really helped Florida's economy and some of the markets that have been tough for us. And you think to yourself, who was campaigning on this? None of these guys were campaigning on it. So I think they've got a problem. One, their agenda has not been a conservative agenda. It's not been bold, and that's different from the three sessions previously where I had three different House speakers. But then you do all these things that they didn't campaign on, and they're doing the opposite of some of the things that we've done. And it just shows you citizens have to remain vigilant. I mean, I think a lot of people thought Florida had won all the battles. Mm-hmm. We were kind of the model red state. And it just shows you, like, all they really had to do was build off the success, and they seem more intent on sabotaging the success and working with Democrats and empowering the left. And that is unacceptable. And so we're not giving an inch on any of this. We understand it's important to fight for conservative values and principles, and to continue the good job that's been done, and to take it to the next level.
Well, let me ask you about this, so I don't have to take my time and Google it. Who is the Speaker of the House? Because the Speaker of the House, it would seem to me, has a lot of control. Who is that?
So his name's Daniel Perez from Miami, and what happens in Florida is we have term limits, which I'm a big supporter of, and so are you. And so what they do is they pick the speaker years in advance for each senior class, basically. And so my first 2 years as governor, we had a speaker. Then the next 2 years there's another, and then another the next two, and then finally here with Perez in the last two. And so you basically have 2-year runs with this. And so this was picked years in advance, and then they kind of go in. But I think the current speaker, Perez, is a little bit different from the others because, when he got sworn in November, he said he didn't have an agenda, that he wasn't going to detail anything that he was going to try to do. And that's just odd. Like, you work to get this position. Don't you want to achieve big things? And it seems most of the things he's been motivated by are enriching the trial bar, helping the left on that, opposing me in a knee-jerk reaction, and then even opposing property tax relief. He's not been willing to support our efforts to do that, or to doge local governments, which I think is really important. And so, this is what it is, but people just need to know that these guys in the Florida House of Representatives, and I think a lot of the rank and file probably would rather have a bolder agenda, but they're not willing to speak up. But this is not what you voted for. And Mark, the way I've learned in this line of work is, if you just tell people what you believe, what you're going to do, you get into office and you do it. Even if people disagree with you, they will respect the fact that you said you'd do it and you did it. When you run under the banners of the Florida model and focusing on Florida's success and taking credit for that, and then you get in and you do the opposite, then people, they don't like that. They don't appreciate that. So that's what's going on here. And I just think we have this massive supermajority, and they're not pursuing a conservative agenda.
Mm-hmm. Governor Ron DeSantis, during the break, I've been looking at what's been going on with this fella Perez. He really looks like he wants to sabotage your agenda on taxes and on so many other things. He wanted to sabotage your agenda on trying to work with the president, Donald Trump, on immigration. We remember that. But it looks like he's trying to position himself for statewide office by moving the Republican Party more towards rhinoism, that is sort of center right to center left, the old sort of stuff that you defeated over the years. He's definitely trying to move away from constitutional conservatism. I mean, I see it here. And I think he feels the best way to do that is as Speaker of the House to oppose you and get friendly press. He gets a lot of friendly press, I see, too.
Oh, well, with the legacy media, yeah. I mean, these are liberal outlets, and he works very closely with them, and his staff does, to try to do hit pieces against things that we've accomplished that have been very, very successful. But, one of the things he's done is they've brought Democrats into the Republican conference, and so these Democrats are changing parties, quote unquote, but they don't discard their liberalism. And so he has a liberal Democrat from South Florida who opposed everything we've done for 6 years, all the major reforms, everything we've accomplished, from fighting crime to fighting the woke, to making sure we were open during COVID. I mean, you name it, she opposed it. And now she's in like a star position. She's pursuing a lot of stuff to help the trial lawyers, and she's one, and she would make a lot of money if some of this stuff happened. And I'm just thinking to myself, it's like, what does that say to like a rank and file conservative who has like paid dues and actually voted conservative in the past? And then you have this Democrat that gets put in this starring role on one of these committees. And so it's really, really odd, what's going on. But yes, I mean, I think there's no question when you're in Tallahassee with liberal media, all you have to do is try to oppose me. They will absolutely treat you well. That's just the nature of it. Now, for most of my tenure here, no Republican ever wanted to be working with liberal media. I mean, they knew that they were hostile and that would make them look really bad, but that's changed under this current speakership.
Now, he wants to cut sales taxes, but he doesn't support your effort to help homeowners in terms of slashing property taxes. What's up with that?
Well, here's the thing. Floridians want relief from property taxes, and so I've proposed to do that, and then next year go to the ballot and have a constitutional amendment so you have protection against the property taxes. And we'll have to work out the details of that to make sure it's something that can pass with 60% of Floridians. But he's rejected doing property taxes, which is what Florida homeowners want. And the sales tax, a lot of that benefits the tourists and the Canadians and the Brazilians coming in. And I think what the ideal thing is to continue to offload more of Florida's tax burden away from Florida residents to visitors and non-residents. We just set a record for tourism last year, 142 million visitors to the state of Florida. When I became governor, they typically would get between 80 and 90 million. So we've just been smashing records. Well, let's capitalize off that. Let's give people the property tax relief. And so most of his proposal would end up benefiting people that are not Florida residents. And the thing about the sales tax in Florida, Mark, all the essentials are already exempt. So when you go to the supermarket, virtually everything you're buying in the grocery store is not subject to sales tax. Baby items, if you're raising kids, all the baby items, diapers, everything, not subject to tax. Medications, all this stuff. So in terms of somebody that's like, middle class, the property tax cut would go so much further than what he's proposing. But it's interesting. This is not anything he had ever talked about. He got sworn in as speaker, never mentioned it, and then all of a sudden he put it out a week or two ago. Why did he do it? I think he did it because I was talking about property tax. He doesn't want to support things that we're doing, and so he just pulled this out of thin air and is trying to run with it. But I've never seen a more negative reaction to a proposed tax cut than how people have rejected what he's pushing, because they say it doesn't make any sense to be cutting taxes on all the Canadians coming down here, all the foreigners that visit, all the part-time residents. We want the tax relief to go to our Floridians, our Florida residents, and the best way to deliver that is by cutting property taxes.
And people want to keep their homes. That's their biggest investment. I mean, that's the roof over their head. That's very, very American sort of thing. A lot of states use sales taxes to fund their budgets, particularly states that don't have an income tax. But you're proposing something here when it comes to the property tax that is so popular. Some of these other governors are now picking up on it. It seems to me, as I read this guy, Daniel Perez, he's just looking for fights. He's looking for ways to undermine you and to separate himself from you. He's got to be doing this on behalf of somebody in addition to himself. And he is all locked up with these trial lawyers, isn't he?
Well, that's for sure. I mean, I think he is put forth an agenda that is the Christmas tree for liberal plaintiffs' lawyers. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, we had to work very hard for tort reform because Florida had just been overrun with lawsuits for so many years. And guess what happened? We did tort reform in 2023. 2024, nationwide, car insurance went up 20%. In Florida, it went up 5%. Now, it would have been better if it didn't go up at all, but it was much less than the national average. This year so far, the major companies are filing rates that are 5% reduction in auto insurance rates. No one thought that was possible. The only reason that's happening is because of the tort reform. He wants to undo that. So that's part of it. I think there's other, political machinations that kind of get involved with some of this stuff. But the bottom line is, are you in it to get the job done for Floridians? Or are you pursuing a different agenda? And I think the reality is, I stepped up at the beginning of the year, called a special session on immigration enforcement, Donald Trump's number one issue at the time with Republican voters, and things that we all campaigned on. And he rejected that, and he said that it was premature. He said you didn't need to do it. And if I hadn't have called the special session, we never would have gotten this done in a regular session. And so, there was a lot of blowback to that. They weren't representing the voters, and so eventually, we were able to get it across the finish line. But Mark, put yourself, if you were saying you're a conservative as a Speaker of the House, Donald Trump gets elected. Why didn't he call a special session immediately to do immigration? Why did I even have to do it? Why did he fight me on it? He should have been leading the charge on that, but that wasn't it. How come I'm leading the charge on property tax? Why doesn't he lead the charge on property tax? And so most of this is just opposing what we want to do, and it's not my agenda, Mark. It's the people of Florida's agenda. They're telling me about property tax. This is responding to what people want to see in the form of tax relief. So, we're going to continue to lead and do what we do. We're not going to give an inch on any of this stuff. But the reality is the people of Florida, they absolutely deserve better from their House of Representatives.
This fellow, this Speaker of the House, Perez, his district is in Miami. Is that correct?
Yep, that's right.
Is it a marginal district, a Democrat district, a Republican? Do you know what it is?
No, it's a deep red district, heavily Cuban American. In fact, we were just down in that area today talking about condo reform. That's another thing, Mark. The legislature did a bill after the Surfside collapse, which was a traumatic thing that happened in South Florida. And they basically wanted to, prevent another Surfside. They didn't even know what caused Surfside at the time. And that has caused, even though it was well-intentioned, some crushing assessments on condo owners around the states. A lot of these are working-class people in places like Miami-Dade, not just luxury condos. These are blue-collar folks that are getting $50,000, $100,000 assessments because of this legislation. So I called a special session in January saying we need relief for people. He rejected that. The Florida Senate is now working on a package that's going to deliver relief. The House, they are not doing anything that will be meaningful for these people. And I'm just thinking to myself, I was down in his district talking to all these unit owners. These are salt of the earth people that are getting crushed from this legislation. So why not step up to the plate and make some reforms so that people are able to stay in their homes?
Mm-hmm. Well, again, as a Florida resident, I can tell America, the people of Florida couldn't be happier with what you've done in Florida for the last 6 years and what you're proposing with property taxes here. And to have somebody, I don't care what the hell he's proposing, to be perfectly honest with you, my property taxes, like everybody else's, are going through the roof because Florida's attracting a lot of people who are buying homes, and that drives up the value of the home. And a lot of these counties, a lot of these school boards in particular, with their boards of supervisors, they're driving up property taxes, driving up like nothing I've ever seen. I originally lived in Pennsylvania. We have a home in Virginia, but what's going on in Florida and the property taxes, and you point out, that's a county matter, it's a local matter, but we need to step in and do something about it. And to have some guy out of Miami, I don't care who he is, Speaker of the House, he doesn't speak for me, to step in and say, no, I have a better idea. We'll deal with sales taxes. What are you talking about? How the hell does that give homeowners relief or condo owners relief, even apartment dwellers relief? Because the landlords have to increase the rent on apartment dwellers. So he's not serious, is he, about real tax relief? At least I don't think so. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Well, Mark, if you ask Floridians, what do you want? Property tax relief, or to do the tax cut that will have a disproportionate benefit on tourists and non-residents, they will overwhelmingly and enthusiastically say that we need to do property tax relief. I mean, this is not anything that is rocket science. And the phenomena is just what you said. People have homes. property values go up, they get reassessed higher. Even if you have homestead protection, it still goes up at least 3% a year. And so over a 5-10 year period, that adds up. But if you buy a new home, you got a high tax basis. I want to totally upend this whole system because I think it's ridiculous. I mean, you're basically paying rent to the government, and who's to say how much your home is valued until you sell and make a market transaction? You don't really know the value of the home. So, but the reality is this has been crushing for a lot of people. And yes, it's a local issue. That's why eventually we're going to have to do a constitutional amendment and put it on the ballot. But for this year, we can absolutely provide relief. And that's what people are asking for. And so, like, what I've learned in this business is, we have an obligation to serve the people that elect us. And when they speak clearly on something, you need to listen. And yeah, you find a way to do it within a conservative framework. I'm not saying you abandon that. And what could be more conservative than helping people stay in their home by relieving their tax burden? But what the House is proposing is not what people are asking for.
See, I believe in representative government, the consent of the governed. I voted for you. Almost 60% of the people in Florida voted for you in a massive landslide. I don't know who this guy is, Daniel Perez out of Miami. Yip-de-doo. The fact that he can sway and have this much power as Speaker of the House, to me, is absolutely unacceptable. The fact that I'm looking here on the internet. The fact that he's doing all these interviews and attacking you, the fact that he's doing all these interviews and promoting himself and trying to come up with his own agenda. This guy is, to me, he looks like, to me, a backbencher looking to become a frontbencher for a statewide race or more. I've seen guys like this throughout my life and my little experience in politics and so forth. I don't like guys like this. So I'm going to keep an eye on this guy, Governor, and I would like you to, from time to time, come on the program, not just about him, but about a lot of things. But also, I want to stay on track on this because I'm a resident of Florida. And look, Florida is the beacon of liberty in this country. It really is. Every state now wants to be Florida, every red state. But Daniel Perez is the kind of rhinos that I had to deal with when I was in Pennsylvania and Virginia, working the Reagan campaigns and getting Reagan elected and so forth and so on. I've seen guys like this before, and they are a huge problem. And we want to wish you all the best, and we've got your back, Governor. We certainly do.
All right. Well, God bless you, my man. We will keep Florida free. We're not going to forfeit the progress. We've got to get the job done, and I appreciate all you've done to inform people about what's going on in the free state of Florida now and over the years.
You got it. God bless you and your
later,
beautiful wife
care.
And family. Take care.